President Trump releases a budget that proposes actual spending cuts. Joe Biden insults another campaign supporter with a phrase not even from this century. And the Oscars, imagine this, go political. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. Mine was nonstop. And now we've got to cover the news. And we're going to get to Joe Biden and his weird 19th century comments. But first, I want to talk about President Trump because this weekend he announced a budget, a proposed budget for 2021, which is a big deal because for too long, the government has gone on without a budget. It's just short-term spending measure after short-term spending measure, come up against the debt ceiling, raise the debt ceiling. Governments look like it's going to shut down, so we propose and pass another bill. In the meantime, spending just keeps increasing. Deficits keep increasing. We keep adding to the national debt. Something has to change, and the president actually has a budget proposed for fiscal year 2021 that includes spending cuts, $4.4 trillion in spending cuts. Here's a report from the Daily Caller. President Donald Trump's proposed budget for fiscal year 2021 includes sweeping cuts to the Environmental Protection Agency, Department of Commerce, and Foreign Aid, the White House announced Sunday. White House officials confirmed to reporters that the budget will total $4.8 trillion, and assuming the economy grows at 3% each year, will reduce government spending by $4.4 trillion over the next 10 years. So anytime I see something about the budget and cuts, I'm happy. And this one has it. There are trade-offs, there are increases in other areas, but for example, there's a proposed 26% cut to the Environmental Protection Agency, 21% cut in foreign aid, and 37% cut for the Department of Commerce. So that's good. There's increases. Department of Veterans Affairs is set to see a 13% increase, Department of Homeland Security 3%, and even NASA sees a bump of 12% in their funding. Here's more from the Daily Caller. For the first time, the fiscal year 2021 budget will feature a chapter devoted entirely to eliminating wasteful government spending, as previously reported by the Daily Caller. The proposal targets agencies with overlapping and similar goals, agencies that provide similar or identical services to the same group of recipients, programs without a clearly defined federal role. How does that even happen? Federal programs that mirror state-level initiatives, and erroneous payments. Additionally, the budget calls for the elimination of the following programs: National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health's Education and Research Centers, Department of the Interior's Highlands Conservation Act grants, National Park Service's Save America's Treasures Grant, National Endowment for the Arts, Endowment for the Humanities, Corporation for National and Community Service, including AmeriCorps. So that's a good start, okay? But what I would like to see, and I applaud the president for proposing a budget that includes cuts to programs, eliminating wasteful spending, eliminating this overlap. Remember, 10th Amendment says powers not enumerated here to the federal government belong to the states. The states should be covering the vast majority of functions in this country. So the more we can cut, the better. But what I'd still like to see is an actual lowering, shrinking of government. It continues to grow. And even in this one, you're proposing $4.4 trillion in cuts over the next 10 years. But if you're still running deficits, if you're still adding to the debt, we're in the same problem. If you had current economic situation, this is just an example, current economic situation, over 10 years, you've run $14.4 trillion in debt. Now you propose a new budget that cuts $4.4 trillion. So after 10 years, you're only $10 trillion in debt instead of 14.4. Well, guess what? You're still in debt. Okay, you're still running deficits. We need budgets that are actually lower than the year before, that get us in the black, so we're only spending. We have record increases in revenue, folks. With the Trump tax cuts, we're still bringing in more money. We're just spending too much, and we've got to change that. So next, I want to talk about Joe Biden, because he's at it again. He says some strange stuff. Remember when he's going into Iowa, he's on his No Malarkey tour, which was so weird. It was full of malarkey, by the way. He goes and he talks to one campaign supporter who's questioning him about Hunter Biden and his role in getting in Burisma Holdings and how that was just influence peddling. And Joe Biden calls him a damn liar. Remember that? Here's this clip.
You're a damn liar, man. That's not true. And no one has ever said that? No one has proved that?
I see it on the TV.
You see it on the
That's all I got to
TV.
do is watch
No, I know you do.
So this time, Joe Biden is campaigning in New Hampshire, gets asked a question, and calls the person a lying, dog-faced pony soldier. So to set this up, first, this is Megan from a college there in New Hampshire, and here's her question.
So how do you explain the performance in Iowa, and why should the voters believe that you can win the national election?
So that's a pretty good question, considering Biden's fourth place finish in Iowa definitely did not meet expectations. Who knows how he's going to finish in New Hampshire? So here's how he responds.
Number one, Iowa's a Democratic caucus. You ever been to a caucus? No, you haven't. You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest.
A lying, dog-faced pony soldier. It's just so bizarre. So, of course, social media was having a blast with this. Donald Trump Jr. got on Twitter. He put out this. He says, if he can't handle a simple question from one of his own supporters, how can Joe Biden possibly take on Donald Trump one-on-one for 6 months? Hashtag New Hampshire primary. Jonathan Turley, who testified in the House impeachment proceedings, he tweeted this. He wrote, just for the record, the last president to go negative with pony soldier attacks was probably James Garfield. Biden could have just as well called a voter a carpetbagger for having gone to a caucus. So that was so funny. And then a friend of mine, actress and producer Paula Trickey, she got on Twitter and she posted this, which just cracked me up. This was in response to another tweet about Joe Biden. And she put up this, the sweatshirt, cotton-headed ninny bungans. And I just love that.
I'm a cotton-headed ninny muggins.
So that just cracks me up. And you never know what Joe Biden is going to say. You don't know what he's going to say next. A lying dog-faced pony soldier. I don't know what's going to come out next. Maybe it'll be from this century. Maybe he'll, give something more current, like from the 1920s than his reference before. I don't know. But next, along with people who don't know what they're saying, it's not just Joe Biden. I want to give you an update on some members of the squad, okay? Because in particular, Ilhan Omar and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Because Ilhan Omar was out speaking, and here is what she had to say about blaming the United States for flooding in other countries. This is what she was talking about, and here's a report from the Washington Examiner. Representative Ilhan Omar suggested Friday that the United States is to blame for catastrophic floods in other countries around the world. When you see flooding happening in a country abroad and you are urgently raising money for these lives to be saved, you don't think about, how have I contributed to the climate warming that has led to these floodings and these catastrophes that are taking place abroad, Omar said at a Democracy Now! And a Rising Majority event. So Omar, in addition to blaming us for flooding in other countries, despite the fact that China and India are just pumping pollutants nonstop in the air, no one talks about that. She also was talking about refugees, blaming the U.S. for the refugees that come to the U.S. seeking safety and opportunity. Here's what she said there. In her Friday remarks, Omar blamed the U.S. for causing the problems that caused refugees to flee to America from other countries. When you see a Somali refugee or an Iraqi refugee or a Libyan refugee, we often are like, this is my neighbor. They must have survived some struggle. We don't ever pause to think, what American policy made them come over here, she added. Omar has been a consistent critic of America's actions abroad. The Somalian-born congresswoman has called for a complete overhaul of American foreign policy. So that's Omar, all right? Next, we get to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And she was on Instagram Live, and she was talking economics. And I just want to remind you that she has a bachelor's degree and economics. All right. This was her degree. This was her major. This is what she graduated from college with. All right. And here's what she says.
It's funny you asked this because I was just reading today about how Milton Keynes, a famous economist back in the day, predicted that by 2030, US GDP would grow 6 to 8 times what it is, which would allow for everyday people to work 15 hours a week.
So I guarantee that she was not reading the other day about Milton Keynes. All right. There's free market economist Milton Friedman, and there's deficit spending economist John Maynard Keynes. All right. There's no Milton Keynes. And she goes on.
The thing about that is that Keynes's predictions weren't completely wrong.
All right. So finally, at the end of this rant, this dissertation of the man sticking it to the worker, she puts up this graphic. I'll put it up on the screen. And she says, ugh, typo. It's John Maynard Keynes mixed his name with Milton Friedman, a very different economist. So I actually read that the way it was supposed to be. And this is what frustrates me so much. I don't know if I'm more frustrated with the fact that she took with her economics degree, took two very, profound economists and created a totally different one by mixing them up, or by mispronouncing John Maynard Keynes' name as Keynes. It's Keynesian economic theory. She said it over and over again. One would think that she knows how to say this name. I mean, it's just, anyway, she combined them. She came up with a brand new economist to go along with her theories that do not work, and yet she's influencing on Instagram and other social media. So finally, I want to wrap up with the Academy Awards because, as you would probably know, it's the worst thing to watch. I only saw a little clip. I'm a huge movie fan, and this is why I'm so frustrated, because Hollywood is so left. It's so corrupt. It's just so bad. And yeah, I'm just a fan. And so, of course, last night it was pathetic. First of all, the Best Picture winner went to a foreign language film. It was complete English subtitles. That's what won Best Picture for American Movie Awards. And then, of course, recipients went political. Brad Pitt won for Best Supporting Actor. And here's this report from Fox News. They told me I have only 45 seconds up here, which is 45 seconds more than the Senate gave John Bolton this week, Pitt said. I'm thinking that maybe Quentin Tarantino does a movie about it. In the end, the adults do the right thing. Speaking backstage, the actor explained why he included a political jab in his Oscars acceptance speech. I was really disappointed with this week, he told reporters, and I think when gamesmanship trumps doing the right thing, it's a sad day, and I don't think we should let it slide. And I'm very serious about that. So Joaquin Phoenix, who won for Best Actor, he went off on a rant that included everything from racism and gender identity issues to rights for cows. And here's more from Fox News. Even socialist revolutionary Karl Marx was mentioned in a speech by Julia Reichert, the co-director of the Barack Obama-produced Best Documentary winner, American Factory. Reichert concluded her speech with a paraphrase of the Communist Manifesto written by Marx and Friedrich Engels, stating, "We believe that things will be better when workers of the world unite." So that's your Academy Awards right there. And it's just, nothing changes. We have more and more actors starting to speak out. And yet there's this fear among conservatives in Hollywood that they'll be out of a job. In the meantime, you have people like this ranting to elitist liberal applause. And it's just disgusting. It is so frustrating. But folks, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe. And when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified. And we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberly. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, just a little reminder before you go, and no, this does not count against my 13 minutes. Please hit the subscribe button below and tell your friends. And if you happen to miss our last show, you can check it out right here. And also for great conservative news and commentary, please check out GOPUSA.com. All right, folks, we'll see you on the next show. Have a great day.